Well, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us at One Breath Rising's second Sunday series. Today we have the fabulous poet Nadia Alexis, who is a poet, a writer, and photographer born to Haitian immigrants in Harlem. She is the author of Beyond the Watershed, Kevin Carey Press, 2025, a hybrid poetry and photography collection that was also a finalist for the Ghost Peach Press Prize. Her writing and photography have been published widely. She has received several honors, including a literary arts fellowship and a mini grant from the Mississippi Arts Commission. A Poet of the Year honoree of the Haitian Creatives Digital Awards, and a semifinalist of the 92nd Street Wide Discovery Poetry Contest. She has also received an honorable mention poetry prize for the Hurston Wright College Writers Award and several Pushcart Prize nominations. A fellow of the Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop and the Watering Hole, she holds an English creative writing PhD and a poetry MFA from the University of Mississippi. She lives in Southwest Mississippi, where she continues to teach and make art. Nadia's most recent poetry publication is Letter to My Friend Robert, which was reprinted in the Global South and is available online. So I want everyone to please welcome Nadia Alexis. Nadia, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. So I will read some poems from my book, which is here with its beautiful cover. I'm just going to get into the reading of them. I'm going to start with the title poem, which is called Watershed. It's actually one of the last poems that I wrote for the book. I needed a title poem for the book, so I wrote this one. I arrive at my father's feet, a dying maple tree. He covers his eyes with mud while goats feast on my fallen hair. I hear my mother call for the Lord to send just enough rain for our lungs and her carnations to see a new season. My mother always said, boys are best at taking. I once loved a boy who turned pomegranates in my yard into salt. In the mirror, I see a donkey's head without a home. Daisies dance atop her hair, and she teaches me how to wail for cover. My mother and I kneel on uncooked rice. Sweat of our hands no longer remembers its owner. Our knees become prunes. One night I see my father weep and rock like a forgotten river, how he must know what it's like to fight against disappearance. The longer I stay in the home my lover and I built on this mountain, the more I tire of circadian leaps into the field of cacti. Every year, Lake Azuye rises and forces change on the trees and birds and people of the watershed. They no longer believe the water will leave them. I spend nights running from hail in the company of vultures. I make peace with the ways my father and I look away from errors and ruin. My parents make rituals of warnings, and I follow in their footsteps anyway. My mother says I can build a new home from clouds, and I believe her. I haven't read this poem in a long, long time. This is one of the oldest poems in the book, published, I think, in 2014. But it's called Permission. Shook from temporary asylums of our beds by crack of leather belt on back and a basket of screams. Dreamless night and home smelling of dead herons Dad wore on his hands. 4 volcanoes erupting through our chests. Heavy eyelids tucked under our pillows, we ran to the living room, leaving fragments of pink barrettes and hand claps at our heels. Wedged ourselves between Mom's stolen strut and graves he planted on her skin. 4 daughters screamed with scarred throats and tear-splayed cheeks half hidden by her nightgown. Assemblage of tiny fists push against him like gusts of wind, bruises left on the islands of our bodies. We longed for cradled morning when the sun's mouth was gaping. Oh, how I secretly wished him to dust so we would have permission to breathe. Cassette letter 95. Today is Haitian Flag Day, and my family is from Haiti, although I was born in Harlem, so I'm gonna read this because I'm thinking about my grandmother. Cassette letter 95. And cassette letters were how we stayed in touch with our family abroad. I never really asked why, or if I did, I don't remember the answer I got, but it might have been that was the easiest way we could communicate, or it might have been a literacy thing. So you don't really have to, you can communicate without writing. So my grandmother, other family members would send cassette tapes and we would listen to them on the radio. Okay, cassette letter 95. Bordered in red and blue, the white envelope sits on the table until Ma wipes her wet hands on her flowered skirt and grabs it. I sit on the edge of the couch and try to hide the black bottoms of my feet. My fingers dance with loose thread on my sleeve. 10-10 wins, you give us 22 minutes. We give you the world. Sounds off in the background. Ma's headscarf loosens with a deep inhale. Her cheekbones rise, exhale into a smile. Carefully, she pulls the cassette out of the envelope, places it into the oversized radio, and presses play. Glenn's voice booms deep and thick with summer song and long days on the farm. How she misses us still. Things are good in Haiti. I try to catch each word of Creole, but I stumble over the ones I can't hold. Savor each one I can. Glenn laughs wide and tells us next time we visit, she'll have my favorite farm fresh chicken, sweet plantains, and a bottle of cola. Each memory I taste, the women washing in the river, the tiny fish racing around my feet, the man who could only sit cross-legged all day because of the accident, my baby cousin grabbing my earrings and whatever he could beyond my arms, grandpapa and horses he wouldn't let me ride because I was too small, the mountains and the mountains behind them. For a moment, we're not that far apart, and we pretend we know what year or season we'll hug her again. The player stops, and I ask Ma if we can listen to Glenn's voice once more. The envelope in her hands is wrung out like a chicken's neck. So I have a series of poems in this book, 6 of them, that are titled with Prayer to Ezeli Danto in the title. And Ezeli Danto is a Haitian voodoo spirit. And I could say a lot about her, but just to be brief, I'll say that I was drawn to her because she is seen as a protector of women and children who are victims of abuse. And so I wrote 6 poems to her, and usually they all appear with a photograph on next to them. And this is actually me in the photograph. These are self-portraits that I made out in the Mississippi woods. So I'm going to read a couple of them. I'm going to read, and they're all connected by the first line of each poem after the first one becomes is the last line of the previous poem. So they're connected in that way. Trying to decide which one do I want to start with. Um, I'm going to start with number 2, actually. Prayer to Esli Danto, number 2. I lay in my own blood and remember them enough to write them all dead. Can I ask you, have you ever gazed at your lover and found yourself turned into a time traveler? One day he makes a mango trail of you instead of bruising you eternally. Or you are buried alive in a makeshift grave. Or you are eating each second of his hands, telling you of a kingdom you never knew. And so the story goes, we are given powers we never asked for. Every attempt to leave is a pigeon sentenced to life as a fledgling. Again and again, I fall in what I think is home. People look at me in confusion and say I must like to be held underwater. Prayer to Esli Danto, number 3. People look at me in confusion and say I must like to be held underwater. I want to ask them, do those who stay on hurricane-prone land yearn to sleep in a home that fails to deliver? Does a quail long to be remade with a hunter's bullets? Does the ocean love to be filled with another man's trash? How many seals have closed their eyes and imagined all sharks disappeared and opened them to a miracle? Do the enslaved not long to be free? Who among you have begged for someone to make you feel bigger than a fire ant in a room of humans? Who among you have begged for light to stay at your doorstep? How many times have you imagined a lush field of passion vines and keys to all the doors you wish to escape through? I'm going to read a poem called How to Be Friends with a Sex Worker. 1. Sit in the diner, wait for her to arrive, gaze at the sun in the wall, pull out your phone, slide your thumb across the screen, look up and smile when she walks through the door. In 2 weeks, she is 19. Watch her search through lips and eyes undone with hunger. Wave your hand, stand as she walks to the table, listen to the screech of home in the hug you share. Ask her how she's doing, sit down, watch her hair bend in the August of her fingers. She tells you she's tired, but she's good. She asks you what's new. You tell her about the latest fight you're having with your man. She shakes her head and laughs. She tells you about the Craigslist date she had last night and how her pimp took all the money. Bread crumbles in your hand. 2. Jump when you hear the ring. See an unfamiliar number appear on your screen. Pick up the phone. Try to hide the worry in your voice. Say hello. Her voice is loaded with bricks. She says he left her stranded. He took her purse, no money, no cigarettes. She is in New Jersey. She is cold. He is gone. She is crying. You are not breathing. You close your eyes and curse him again. She tells you he wants to teach her a lesson. You ask her what she needs you to do, says she'll figure it out and call back. She doesn't. You try to sleep but can't. The sun rises. You call her phone again. He picks up. You ask him where she is. He calls you a bitch and tells you to mind your business. You call him a piece of shit. Promise him he will pay. Demand to speak to her. He sucks his teeth and click. You call back. He hits ignore. You call again. He picks up. He passes her the phone. She says hello. You ask if she okay. Your chest is lava. She says she's okay now. You sigh and tell her there's no home in this life. She tells you not to worry and that she's really okay. 3. It's spring break and you meet her at a bar. It's been weeks since you last spoke. You're late. She looks at you in annoyance. You laugh and apologize. She tells you she's left him. You inhale. She works for herself now. Okay, I'm gonna read a poem that is a palindrome, which is a mirror poem. So the second half of the poem mirrors the first half, and the lines are in reverse. And you can make some tweaks if you want to the wording, and I did a little bit of that. Language. The ocean swallowed a father, my father's father whole. His father ate too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate his children, my father one of them. By the time my mother and father walked by the same tree, he was born again into new skins. My father is multilingual. He knows the cadence of clouds after murmuration. The language, algebra equations, American English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, turnbacks, and laughter. He taught me how to eat the sun in my own tongue. How to eat the sun in my own tongue, turnbacks and laughter. He taught me English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, algebra equations, American after murmuration. The language, he knows the cadence of clouds into new skins. My father is multilingual. By the same tree, he was born again by the time my mother and father met his children. My father, one of them, too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate my father's father whole. His father ate the ocean and swallowed a father. Prayer to Ezeli Danto, number 4. How many times have you imagined a lush field of passion vines and keys to all doors you wish to escape through? Sometimes I wonder how I got here, and then I remember there's no choice in how the wounding is served. Daddy always loved Ma the best or worst ways he knew how. Ma stayed. When I asked why, answers did little to fill the multiplying craters in my hands. I arrive at the same cliff she dangled past selves from, and dreams. I wear the same dress and choker. I use broken nails to draw a tree in the dirt, filled with goddesses who balances buckets of secrets and jewels on their heads, never spilling. I pick up each twig, each leaf, each rock, and eat them all. In my dreams, I run across the ocean and become more woman with each wave. Thalassophobia. It's raining again, and I want to believe the sea is a gift and not just a place people go to die, but a home with a floor you can dance on. They say one way to get over a fear is to walk toward it despite the bones bursting. He is rambling a story with no feet, but I never cheated even when he did. He plunges my body beneath waves and laughs as if he hadn't laughed since the last time he used water to make the skin a wound. Is this what it means when he says he hates women, but he loves me? I try pretending I am a stonefish, or ship, or hurricane. He releases me from his ruined hands, and the first thing I see is unfamiliar skies above a quilt of lost seagulls, and in a stumbling blink, and gasp for air, and gasp for water and sun, I know I am still here. Pray. My lover once said, "A woman is Beth with a mouth as a closed door. If she should want to open it, let it be brief and of bright blooms. If she should dare to make herself bigger than a man, With her voice full of restless bells, she must be ready to make war with hands bare. If she can't, she must nail her tongue to a tree's bark, or he'll bury her into earth's belly. I no longer wish to be the ground carrying him, no longer wish to follow rules that drain me of fresh water. Today I am guilty of becoming a falcon, every bit of him for my consumption. For years I have felt alone and dry-bellied, but tonight I am Ezeli Danto's child, armed with scarred vines and silver. I strike, and he falls like leaves under the weight of a half-woman, half-mountain. Prayer to Ezeli Danto, number 5. In my dreams, I run across the ocean and become more woman with each wave. Something like you. I fly, bruiseless and renewed by blue suns. Assemblies of mothers and daughters sing and laugh big until we all fly hand in hand. We sweat and become our own guava horizons. Every coconut tree is a city that welcomes us. No one tries to take the moon from our teeth. In this world, we don't have to lower our heads or bend. Everywhere we go, so does the water. Our hair shimmies at the clouds and makes songs with the wind. No rape, no black eyes, no pockets or souls sucked dry. No one to lead us away from this home. Everything we can dream is blooming and true. Suppose you failed to cover your mouth and so evil spirits flew out of your body. And your throat became an abandoned rose garden beneath the blue storm of your mouth. And one spirit is the man who killed your mother under a wolf moon in the middle of the 10th blackout of the summer. And he struck her with enough help from serpents and zombies hiding in New York City alleys after long days of searching for sugar and freedom. Or maybe there was a spirit of the woman who flew through the night sky with wings made of her sleeping brethren's dreams and the pieces of the river with her, building a new shed on mullets and pebbles and mountain song and blood of women washing their best. Or maybe there are spirits who are sisters, who traded bird and sun-loved skin and laughter and candy air, who tended to each other's bruised backs and ruptured tongues with mango innards. And maybe in the midst of this, you forget to use your palm and forearms to shield yourself from a voracious fall. I think I'm gonna end with a poem called "Someday I'll Love Nadia Alexis," and it's after Frank O'Hara, after Roger Reeves and Ocean Vuong. Someday I'll love Nadia Alexis. I know this, but again we offer our wings for the plucking, because venturing into fire some nights is more home than dancing on moonlit ground to worship the reach and freedom of our shadows. Untouchable. This is what we long for. This is what we know. It's okay that we make feasts of memories that refuse to leave our body. Still, more woman than wound, more festival than forsaken. Nadia, do not forget that you are still here. Here, we are made of tulips and singing sunsets and tides ever returning to the doors of new homes we dream up from thick air. Look how we wear glory and stumble and jewels we collect with imperfect intention. and baskets we found along the way. A white candle burns for our future. It matters that we almost killed our oceans, that we almost let him bury us too. Sometimes failures are blessings. Every moment we spend putting water and air back into our body is worth getting to the someday we know is waiting. Even as we work to shake the fear of extended hands attached to harmless faces that remind us of his smothering, of nightmares of being lost in foreign woods that reject the sun and us, we will not let scars be the only map we see. Consider our mother. The hope in her passed along to us is field of trees that can't be cut no matter the weapons. Consider our grandmother and hers, all of us daughters of light and steel, of rivers flowing two ways, of yearly independence soup. We've got machete and spirit and our own everlasting overgrown gardens. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you. There we go. Get back. Wow, Nadia. These poems are really, really, really wonderful. They're so rich in imagery. Really, really rich in imagery. As you were reading, I was struck by you have both rural and urban references going throughout the whole book. This sort of blending of the two cultures together. Um, how did you manage to keep one from overpowering the other? Because usually usually the other writers will pick a setting and that's where they'll stay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know, how did you navigate that so that you have, because it is really well balanced. It's almost like you're reading a song, lyrics to a song,
Mm-hmm.
and they just blend in together. So I would like to know how you managed to do that.
I think it had something to do with what memories I was trying to tap into.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't so much that I was like I wanted to be um evenly split or something like that, but it was in terms of thinking about memory and how memory can be attached to place. And I think it kind of just so happened that I was thinking about um I was thinking about visits to Haiti. I was thinking about my time in New York. I was thinking about my time in Mississippi and how they were interconnected, even down to like 5 years ago, this thing happened, or 10 years ago, this thing happened. 10 years ago, I was leaving this kind of situation, this kind of relationship. And it was kind of like cyclical in that way. And so I think it was kind of trying to draw connections between those places and the experiences and the memories that I was interested in exploring.
Mm.
Um, and also, I think being in Mississippi has me paying attention to my surroundings, like, birds and trees and things like that, more than I was paying attention in New York. And so when I was writing some of the New York poems I wrote when I lived up there, actually. There's like a few poems in the book that were written in New York. A lot of them were written in, most of them were written in Mississippi or like made while I lived down here.
Mm.
But um, I was trying to think because I remember Camille Dungy had came and visited where I went to grad school.
Mm.
And I don't remember what I asked her, but because I wanted to write like more poems that had nature in them, but in an intentional way. Cause I was already doing that in New York, but not intentionally.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like when I got to Mississippi, I realized I was doing that and that I could keep doing that. Um, And so, but I was like, I was telling her, New York don't really have, like, I couldn't really see New York in that way. And she was like, there's pigeons there too. And so and that matters. But there's more than pigeons, right? There's a lot of different kinds of bird species in New York City and beyond, but I just wasn't really paying attention. So
Right.
it was just kind of like certain fixations that I had, and I was thinking about how does that appear in these different places, and what kind of emotional register, like how is it different emotionally if it's a New York poem compared to like somewhere in Mississippi where I'm taking a walk or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Oh, everyone, you can unmute yourselves and you can jump in if you have questions. The other thing when the first prayer poem to the spirit there, when I looked at the picture,
Mm-hmm.
it did, after you said it, didn't it? I was like, oh, because my eye looked at the blurring of the image, and I immediately thought, why this is interesting. Why does she have this prayer to this? Because initially, to my eye, it looks like a waterfall
Mm-hmm. I've heard that
falling
before.
into the middle of this forest, which is not really that unusual, but you can go around the world and you can actually see that. And so I was looking,
That
so I
one
was
of
going to ask you what the significance was of this connection to this prayer, to this what I'm thinking is a waterfall.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I love when people tell me what they see in it. I've heard waterfall, I've heard ghost, I've heard angel. Um, so I really, I'll say first that the photo was an accident. I didn't know it was going to look like that. I just jumped in the air. The shutter speed was really
Well,
slow,
yeah.
and I jumped in the air, and my head disappeared. And I was like, "Oh, I love this." I didn't know that was going to happen. I knew something was going to happen once you're doing that. And so, if you thinking about the other photographs that are in the series, where you can kind of see the figure a bit
Mhm.
clearer, but they're still blur for most of the images.
Right.
I think for me, when I think about this image, I think of multiple things in terms of including spirit, the spirit self, or like past selves, or um, flowy, if that makes sense. Like there's movement here. And so I think for the prayer poems, my experience writing the prayer poems, I didn't really know where they were going to go. I don't even know if I knew where they were going to start for real, but I just kind of was following them. And so I think it's the photographs kind of work as like a momentary pause, but also I want the viewer to think about. I don't want to tell people what I want them to see. I want people to see what they want to see,
I see.
but I
Right.
do want them to think about spirituality, um, and the self and movement and nature, and like I like water. I like that people are telling me waterfall. So I like that too. I want them to think about that too. So I don't know. It's a very I think the process of making the photographs is very spiritual and intuitive for me. So I kind of wanted to add something to the book, and
Can can we see any of the photographs? And is able to hold them up?
oh, I mean, yeah, this is the one that we're talking about.
Okay.
Um, I don't
Yeah.
have the full version on my wall, but this is actually a cropped version of it, and I could actually pull. I have a postcard of a different. This is this is the. I don't remember all the photographs are numbered, um, but at the back of the book there is this photo. Toward the end of it, there's this photograph here, and the full
Mhm.
image is actually here in this.
Oh, wow.
So they look like
Yeah.
this.
And where was
Uh,
Um,
that? And where was that taken?
in Mississippi, in Oxford,
In
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Yeah.
Yes.
I got.
Um,
Mm.
hmm,
Now I was going to say, I had gone through the book maybe twice, and I looked at it, and realized that the last photo was actually different. And I,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is the self coming forward, coming into view. That's how I interpreted it as I
Yeah.
was reading the book, because so much of the through line of the book to me has to do with this kind of search for um, uh, what I want to frame as an intergenerational freedom, because you know, this, the woman that inhabits the poems is also bearing the weight of her mother's history, and
Mm.
and somewhere in the text she breaks free of that. So um you know, I like the, because initially I was like, why she have the same photo, but then it came into, I came to another understanding of that. So it's very
Mhm.
slick. Um,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
uh,
there's another photo in there that has me in like a dark pattern dress, and that was there's there's a few photographs in the series where I'm wearing that dress, and it's like I'm kind of running, trying to escape something. And so the
Mhm.
white dress, the once the character gets to the white dress, there's kind of like a transcendence and that she is experiencing. But that was next to the Pray poem, Prey, and yeah. So it's the repetition of the Danto poems, the prayer to Danto as the Danto poems, and I don't know. I kind of want people to hopefully think about different things when they see it again, even though it's the same.
right.
One of the photographs repeats, but yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't question the repetition of the poet of the pic of the photo, because it was this consistently this prayer going through, you know?
Hmm.
And because I thought it was water, and I think water transcends all things, it transmits and transcends all
Mhm.
things. It made, it was like, oh, okay, so uh the prayer is getting deeper and more introspective as it continues throughout the book.
Hmm.
And so it's, but yeah, but that's why when I first looked at it, I really did think it was a waterfall. And I was like, oh, it's interesting, it's a waterfall. Because I know water has that really intrinsic power to it. Um,
I think it is a waterfall. Like if that's what you see, I think that's what it is too.
right.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
question or an observation. As a poet, I was arrested by your delivery, and it seems to me that, but maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you are fairly intentional and deliberate about how you do all things. So I was looking at this reading, and I was like, okay, I'm running to catch up with these images. I can barely hold on to one before it goes to the next thing. So I come away with a sense of something um liminal. I know people bandy that word around, but it's like it's almost somewhere there, and it's just like this layering. So like I in the beginning I got this pattern of father daughter relationship,
Hmm.
um and then in the prey, you know, like some kind of mm, gnawing of the 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 speaker's spirit, and the resistance. I'm so like I'm so like taken with the resistance in these poems, man. I'm just like, dang, right? I don't know how you did that, but like there's like a definite like I will not be shaped by whatever has gone before. Um, but I also was like, um do you do that so that people will go buy the book or what? I mean, I know it's not like that, but you know, so that
Do
you have to
what
like
with the images or what do what?
images and words, well, I'm also fascinated by the form, like
Hmm.
that form of the last line, first line. I mean, there's one line in there that's so powerful that I just don't even know. You could have just printed that for me on the page several times.
Okay, you need to tell me what you remember the
Well,
line because maybe I put it on the tote
but
bag.
that's the other
Yeah.
thing is like I can't tell you which line that was, because you then just like, it was just like a ocean wave. There was nothing. This another king came and waved it, washed it over. So I can't even tell you what that line. I know that I recognize, like, oh my God. But then, anyway, I'm sorry, I'm gushing, but which I don't often do. I have to tell you, I'm like, I was taken, arrested is the word that I want to use, by this work and by the reading. But the question I have to ask you is, like, in choosing the poems and the way in which you put them together in this reading, did you have a deliberate intent? And if so, can you enlighten us? Or would you like to enlighten us as to what that might have been?
Well, when it came to what I was gonna read today, I wanted to take y'all on a journey, so I kind of read it. I read it kind of in order. Not that I read every single poem, but I read it in order. But then I hopped around with some of the Danto poems, so I wanted to create a certain kind of emotional journey for the listeners. And I'm also familiar with what each poem is doing in terms of imagery, or what it adds to the narrative, and what it might make you, how it might make you feel as a listener, or what it might make you think of. So I think it's in a similar way. I kind of want to give people a sense of the book in a mini kind of way. And like, if they had certain expectations of the book, you know, maybe what I read met them or didn't, but I kind of want to give some context there. And I think in terms of image, making the images, I really, that's like my favorite thing to do in poetry, is to create surprising imagery and language. And I want to surprise myself, or delight myself, or help me see something in a new way. And then maybe hopefully the reader gets to benefit from that, or see something in a new way, or tell me that they see a waterfall in the photograph, or something in the line that I didn't necessarily intend. But I think that's a good question, to be thinking about too, because I was thinking, like, well, why am I so drawn to? It's like kind of sort of like a compulsion in terms of when I'm making images. Like, it takes forever. We're poets. A lot of us are poets here, so
It was
we could
the line
spend
about
all
being
day on a
held under.
line.
It was the line about being held underwater. It was that line.
Yes, yes, we could spend all day on a line. So I don't. I think that if it's thrilling for me, I also think making art, and making poems in particular, is like being able to tap into a certain power, and having a certain, like, healthy control, and and being able to tell something in a new way, maybe write a different kind of ending or something, make some weird stuff happen that I couldn't necessarily do in real life, that I can't necessarily do that, but we can do that in poems. So I really really like that.
Yes, and you did very well, because I read when I opened the book and I read Watershed, there were so many images that it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to turn the page. Whoa. Like in Watershed, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, in the 5th stanza, you say, "My mother and I kneel on uncooked rice. Sweat of our hands no longer remembers its owner. Our knees become prunes." I mean, how do you come back from that?
I don't know.
I particularly like the cassette poem, that with the evoking of that time pre-smartphone, when people did that communicate through cassettes. I had a whole bunch of collection of cassettes with recorded, music, but also conversations. It was like, so it was particularly that it evoked that era, and that feeling of having this form of communication, hearing the person's voice, across the miles, and especially since it might have come from Haiti, and you're in another place now, and then what that stirs up in you in terms of being apart from the person who sent it. That was beautifully done. That emotion, that feeling.
That poem also really it teaches us in this time period a lot, because by your grandmother, or by the grandmother figure in this book, in the book, sending a cassette tape with her voice. As long as you have the cassette tape and a way to play it,
That's right.
don't forget what her voice sounds like when they're no longer here.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And we don't really think about that, but that is an active part of life, that as someone passes on, eventually you do forget what they sounded like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Pray, in your poem Pray, the line that really struck me, and I was like, oh yeah, they got out of whatever it is. The line was, I strike and he falls like leaves under the weight of a half woman, half mountain. And I was like, yes.
Straight ahead. Yeah.
That was it. You don't have to say no more after that.
That was fun to write.
That got away, that that whatever that was going on, it was like, yeah, okay, just stop, because well, all of that power that comes from being woman half mountain came down, and that was it. It's like, all right.
I enjoyed writing that poem. I enjoyed writing that poem because it felt a little taboo to do. Even or not, it was just kind of like, well, I'm kind of suggesting that that it got violent, and maybe I took this person out, or the speaker in the poem took this person out. I mean, there's like a lot of ways to kind of read it, but I felt like I wanted to have a poem like that suggested, a big turning point. And I also wanted to bring in, because when I think of Haiti, I think about mountains. We're known for it being a mountainous land. So I wanted to incorporate that into it. That she became so big, I'm thinking more so on a spiritual, internal, kind of level, but maybe she became a damn mountain for real, and like took him out, and I think that is, I think it kind of suggests how much is required in order to be able to leave something like that. And
right.
Yeah.
But that line just really jumped out at me, and I really enjoyed in How to Be Friends with a Sex Worker.
That was great.
Yeah, how you just you're talking about the lifestyle that the person is leading, but you're pushing it to the side so that we can see the woman.
Yeah.
We can talk to this woman. We're not separated by some societal thing that says, oh, you got to stay away from them because they, and you're learning things from the woman. And then there's also the caring of a friendship. I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Where are you? Yeah, type of thing. To the point where you're going up against the very thing that's holding her back. And even that thing has to bow down at some point and let you through to get to the friend. So I mean, that poem really was a wonderful homage to friendship, regardless of what it is you do in your life. So really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so does anybody else have any more questions?
I have a question. The Ursuli Dunto, is that how do you spell that?
It has a couple of spellings. Like the way that you pronounce it is with the Erzulie, but I
Mm-hmm.
pronounce it. You could pronounce it Ezili Danto. It's
Mm-hmm.
also spelled Erzuli Dantor. That's how it's spelled too. It has at least two spellings, if not another one.
In the Haitian culture, she thought of as a Madonna, or you
She's
said she's a protector of children, is she?
she's depicted that way. Like if you Google her, she kind of looks like that. It also looks kind of like it makes me think of like Catholicism, those kind of saintly kind of images and Mary. And then she's depicted with a child and has like a scar on her face. So, but in Haiti is also, uh, there's a lot of Catholics. I don't remember what the percentage, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like a huge percentage of people that practice Catholicism, but also a huge percentage of people that practice voodoo as well. And so I think there's like that's sync. How do you say that word? Syncretisms.
Syncretismo.
Yeah,
Syncretismo.
it's like
Synchronism. Synchronism.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
that kind of makes its way. It's a cultural thing, but also a
Mm,
spiritual
right.
um
Yeah.
practice as well. Yeah, and I was growing up. I was told that that was evil,
Hmm.
so it felt a little. Um, I didn't find out until grad school that maybe a little bit before, but I want to say it was grad school for real. Like when I actually did my own research, that wasn't really true,
Hmm.
and that was very exciting for me. And so I decided to just, read some articles and stuff on her and watch some YouTube videos and
Hmm.
kind of allow that to inform and fill in the gaps was where there was some.
Have you
I
seen the
don't
films of Maya Deren of Haiti? Films of
mm,
Maya Deren, Deren.
I don't think so.
She made films years and years ago of the spiritual practices of Candomblé and Santeria and the whole voodoo culture. And she was a dancer, and she took, they let her participate in their rituals. She made some wonderful films.
Hmm,
You should check them out. Yeah,
thank
they're
you. I
very
just
very spiritual, very beautiful.
Ahmed,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Ah,
so it,
yes,
oh, that,
yeah.
okay. So
Um,
that is a, wow. Okay. Powerful. Powerful.
yeah.
Yeah. So there is some kind of recognition of Ursula Nunto as a Black Madonna then, I guess, huh?
mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
mm,
yeah, it's I think there's a actually I if the more you study
Mm-hmm.
world cultures, world
mhm,
spirituality, you
Mm-hmm.
find a lot more.
mhm,
The farther it's almost like the farther back you go in
mhm,
time, the more you start seeing
mhm.
deities of color,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
more so than you say deities of European
Yeah. Yeah.
descent.
Right,
It-
because in my studies of this, um, often the colonizing cultures just took the existing indigenous religions and melded them into their own
Yeah.
Right.
blackness.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, I mean, this is that to me is very common,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
across the now. But also,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, in Igbo culture that I'm from, there's also this syncretism between Catholicism and
Mhm.
traditional Igbo religions,
Mhm.
and they did the same thing, which is basically they masqueraded the white version, and then they had the other version, underneath, or as part of, or as part of something that they were doing. So I think that's also true um, in what I've learned of um, Haiti and
Mhm.
Fudun, that often the two things were happening, if not hand in hand, at least one in the morning and one in the night,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? That people didn't give up their traditional beliefs, but of
Right.
course they took on, at least externally, the colonizers stuff.
Right.
Now, Nadia, um,
Mhm.
I'm curious, what has the reception been like for your book? How have
With with
how
like
in terms of have you been getting reviews? Have you sold out? What's happening?
um I feel like the reception has gone pretty well. And on my pub day, I had enough pre-orders and, whatever orders from, I guess, institutions and individuals that they had to go into a second printing on the pub day. So that
Nice.
was
Mm.
a nice surprise. It wasn't something that I was attempting to do. I mean, I just wanted to have people know about the book and buy the book. And it's been taught in a contemporary literature class. It was taught this past semester, and it's going to be taught in two college classes in the fall. One of them like an intro to Africana Studies,
Hmm.
and like a creative write. So it's people are receiving it really well, and I think that I hope that that continues. I've heard, I'm thinking about when I meet people like at readings. Sometimes I'm new to people, or sometimes people might be like, "Oh, my father is Haitian," and they picked up the book partly because of that. Because I think as Black people, I know for me in college, I studied Africana studies because I wanted to feel more connected to myself. I wanted to read Black literature. I took Black literature classes, so that kind of helped me. So I kind of meet people that um, identify with the topics, or so it's interesting. It's gone pretty well, and I'm hoping that it gets received by even more, because I think it's like a book where you can encounter it in a lot of different kinds of classroom spaces. Even, I did a talk for a visual arts class at an arts college in the Midwest, and they wanted me to come and talk about my practice as a poet and photographer. So this particular professor, she was having them read poems and write poems in a visual art class, in addition to making whatever. They weren't all photographers. There's different kinds of visual
Mm.
artists in the room, and I thought that was really interesting, and I really appreciated that, because that kind of shows that she has a love and respect for poetry. And so it was interesting to visit that class and give them some writing prompts um, that were like, a lot of them were framed as questions. And she shared with me that she loved what they wrote. So something broke open from that visit. So I think, like, thinking about our books and how they can work in different kinds of classes and how they can like inform different kinds of conversations. I'm really
Hmm.
interested in that. So, and I also want to be in different kinds of spaces that may not necessarily, have like people that write, and maybe it's like a community space. So I'm trying to like, give people opportunities to receive the book, if they're meant to receive it. So, and some of
Mhm.
it is happening organically, and some of it is kind of me reaching out. So It's been good. It's been good. I remember being afraid many years ago to put the book out because of the contents of it. So I like to say that the book is coming out at the perfect time because I used to feel like, oh, I'm putting a lot out there, and like these are things that I should be ashamed of in terms of, whatever in the book has to do with things that have happened, things that have happened to me or that I experienced. So I used to feel I had to get through certain blocks, and so the book is coming out much later than it probably could have, but it's coming out when it's was supposed to. And so I feel really good about when it's coming out. And if it had come out earlier, like several years earlier, I don't think it would have been the right time. So I don't think it would have been the right time. This is the perfect timing. So perfect timing for to help facilitate, more positive reception of the book. So.
Great.
Are you working on a new book right now? What are you working on now?
I am working on a novel in verse, a young adult
Oh,
novel in verse. And it is my protagonist is a survivor of teen dating violence. She's also an artist.
mm,
Um, and I'm also writing poems that, I think is going to be a part of a poetry collection. But I like that that I like that the poems are still feel like me, but they're coming from a place of even more power and thinking about spirit and spirituality and the spiritual self, and like I don't know, it feels like it's another level of understanding, and it's coming through in my poems. So I really
mm,
am excited about that. So
mm,
yeah, on and off, it kind of depends my energy levels because I've been traveling a lot. So
mm.
yeah.
Wow. Well, this has been a lovely afternoon. And for those of you who didn't get it yet, I highly recommend this one. This is one that this is one you're gonna read through the first time and you're gonna put it down, and either
Savor
6
it.
months to a year from now, you're gonna say, oh, let me read that again. And you're gonna get a whole another faucet to this. And then you're gonna put it down. And you're 5 years from now, you're gonna go, oh yeah, that was good. Let me read that one again. And then you're gonna get a whole nother, you know what I mean? It's one of these books you're gonna keep picking up
Thank
throughout
you.
different times in your life. This is one you keep in your library.
What is the title, EJ?
It's called Beyond the Watershed.
Beyond the Watershed. Okay.
Hi, Cynthia Hills.
Yes, hi Cynthia. Hi Dorothy. I know Dorothy as well.
Got the book. I love it.
Yes, I got the book.
Barely
I'm like,
started it.
oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So Nadia, we want to thank you so much for being with us today, and we will definitely make sure that the book is kept up on our website so people can tap into it and get it. I got mine from Amazon. I'm sure other people can get them from other places, but I got mine from Amazon.
Bookshop.org.
Okay.
Yeah. And the
And you,
recording this recording today will be up on our YouTube
Right. So you
thing, so
be
people
able to access it,
will be able to, yeah, and share it.
share.
thank you.
Yes.
Yes, and
So
people can get it through my publisher as well. Or
Kevin Carey
if
Press.
yes, Kevin Carey Press. And yeah. So thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank everybody that came. So I want to let you know that next month we will be live at the Soapbox Gallery in Brooklyn, and the group that will be performing for us is Ahmed Abdullah and the Diaspora. Is that right?
Ahmed Abdullah's Diaspora. Yes.
Diaspora. Okay.
Which is an acronym meaning dispersions of the spirit of Ra. Yeah.
In Sun Ra.
Yeah.
Who's playing?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Oh, we have Don Chapman on saxophone, Dee Dee
Wonderful.
Jackson on
Oh,
piano,
wonderful.
Norbert Marius on bass,
Right.
Trey, Warren Trey Crudup on drums, Monique Ngozi and Reed doing poetry and vocals, and me playing trumpet, flugelhorn, and vocals as well.
So
What
please,
date?
it's going to be June 8th.
It's going to be a live stream too.
It will be live streamed.
Yeah.
So if you can't make it to
Time, right?
in person,
4:40.
you can get a live stream ticket.
Yeah.
And we hope that you will be able to join us. The time it'll start at 4:40 in the afternoon. It's June 8th is a Sunday.
Yeah.
And the Soapbox Gallery is a lovely space, beautiful sound.
Yeah.
And so we hope that you'll be able to join us. I want to give thanks to our sponsors for One Breath Rising Second Sunday series, the Brooklyn Arts Council, Poets and Writers, the Park Slope Civic Council, the 440 Art Gallery, the Garner Glazer Foundation, our individual donors, and you, our audience. So please join us next month, either live or via live stream. You will enjoy the afternoon of music and jazz and enlightenment that you will get from the performance. So I want to thank everyone for coming, and please enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening. It's almost dinner time.